Every single Dungeoneering floor you do has a path called the critical path. It's a 19 to 23 room path in a large floor that takes you from the base of the floor to the boss as fast as possible. If you know how to follow the path really well, your Dungeoneering floors will be more efficient, faster, your XP per hour will increase, and overall you'll have a better time because you have a clear objective of what to do, besides running around the floor trying to open all the doors. In this guide, I'll explain how to find the critical path to improve your Dungeoneering and get faster floor times. In Dungeoneering, there are two types of rooms. There's bonus rooms and critical rooms. Critical rooms are the rooms that you need to open in order to get to the boss at the end of the floor. So all of those rooms are required to actually finish the floor. Bonus rooms are the opposite of that. You don't need to open any of them to finish the floor. However, opening them gives you a lot more experience, so generally it's a good idea to do that. The absolute easiest way to find the critical path is turning on guide mode. You'll see on my party interface, I selected guide mode here. Now, when I enter the floor and look closely at my minimap, there are certain question marks in rooms that are going to be brighter than the others. The brighter rooms are the critical ones, which will take me to the boss, while the darker ones are bonus and not part of the critical path. Using guide mode is a great method to get a basic understanding of the critical path, or to quickly complete rush floors as I outlined in my rush guide, but it's not recommended for large floors because it reduces your floor experience by 5%, which really adds up over time. The way to avoid the XP penalty is finding the critical path yourself. The critical path is one of the largest paths in a floor, so rooms with lots of space in front of them are often critical. Therefore, step 1 is to find the room with the most space in front of it and go that way. Once you've done that, there are a number of indicators that tell you if the path is bonus or potentially critical. These include skill door levels, resources in the room, specific keys, and more. So the second step after you've picked that big path is to look at these various indicators and make sure the path you've chosen is actually critical. Then you enter the room and repeat this process. The final step is to reevaluate and go to the next largest path if you hit a bonus path or dead end. Then continue the same process from above. I've also put this information into a flowchart in case that helps anyone visualize it. So what you'll want to do in that first room is choose the big path and check out the door on it. If the door is critical, then you'll enter the room, and if it's not, if it's bonus, you'll look and see if there are other paths in that room that are critical, and you'll go down that instead. If there's no other paths, then you'll look at your map and you'll pick the next biggest spot again somewhere else on the map and just try this process again. So then once you've entered that room, you'll look in the room and see the resources in there and see if they're critical or bonus. If they're critical, it's no problem, you'll keep going. If they're bonus, you'll look back in that previous room again and choose a different path there. If there's no path, you'll go to the next best spot on the map. So if it all does work out, you enter that room. If it doesn't dead end, then you'll just continue on down the big path again, following the same process. If it does dead end, then you'll just go back to the previous room or find the next best spot on the map. I keep mentioning finding the biggest path, but how do you actually do that? I'm going to go through a bunch of examples now where I'll show a base map with a couple of doors and I'll say, this is the direction you should go, here's why. Just break it down a little bit more so it makes more sense. In this first example here, you'll see there's only one path. So if you take that south path, it's going to be the biggest path because it fills up the rest of the floor. This time we have two paths we can choose from. There's a north path and a south path. Remember, what we're trying to do is look at the map and say which door has more space in front of it. The south door has a considerable amount of room. You see, mark it here. And then if you compare it to the north room, there's a lot less room on the north door. So if you're trying to find the critical path, you're going to want to start by going south first because it's the larger path in this floor. In this example, we have 3 doors It's similar to the last one. That north path is really large, and then if you look at the south path and the east path, they're similar in size. They're both pretty small. So in this case, if you're trying to find critical path, you're going to want to go north first because that's the largest path on the map. This time we only have two paths to choose from. If you look at the west path and then compare it to the south path, they're actually the exact same size. In situations like this, it doesn't really matter what path you choose because they're both the biggest path at this moment. So if you open the doors and peek them, you'll see we have more path options open up. When you compare the west and the south again here, they're actually the same once again, so it doesn't really matter. You'll also notice there's that small square path in the middle that's not the biggest path because it's blocked off by the west and the south. So what you do in this case is you use a crit indicator to give you a better idea of which one of these large paths is actually crit. In this case, the south path has a bonus door on it, so it's not critical and you can safely go west. Sometimes you'll have two large paths that aren't quite identical and it's hard to tell which one's bigger. In this case, we have our east path and our south path that are both pretty large. There's also that north path, but it's a lot smaller than those two, so we don't need to worry about it too much. In situations like this, you can use another method that's a little more advanced. What you'll do is you'll look at the room with a question mark on it and draw an imaginary line from that room until you hit a wall or another path, and you do that on all sides. So for this one, we draw the lines, and then if you count the number of imaginary rooms there, you get 6 hitting that east wall, you have 5 hitting the south, and 2 north. Then when you add those numbers up, you get 13. So remember that for that room. Then you'll do the same thing for the south path. Draw those imaginary lines out, count them up. You got 7 rooms going to that east wall, and then you have 4 rooms going to the south wall. Total, that's 11. 13 is larger than 11. You also have that north path that has 8, so it's much smaller than those two. So you can look at those numbers, and based on 13 being biggest, that'll be your biggest path. At the same time, 11's pretty close to 13, so it also indicates a large path, and if the 13 path doesn't work out, it's a great second choice to choose. It's also worth mentioning that you don't want to be doing this every single floor, every single room. It's a good strategy to learn the basics of identifying the big path, and then once you have that down, it'll come naturally and you won't need to count out the rooms every time. Now I'm going to put all these strategies we've learned together and go through an entire floor with you, just using the biggest path. Starting at base, we'll do our room counting and analysis for the 3 largest base doors. We get 12 on the west, 10 on the north, and 9 on the south. So our best bet is going through the 12. However, it's early on in the floor, so it's a good idea to peek all those doors and get a little bit more information before we proceed. After doing that, the north dead ends, and then we get 2 options. The west path gives a door that has a count of 8, and the south gives a door that has a count of 7. Now in this case, we're going to go through the 8 door. It was the 12 door before, so both times it's been the larger number. And from here on, we're just going to continue following the largest number throughout the floor. So we open that up. It gives us 2 rooms with a count of 9 and 11. So we'll go through the 11 door. Then after that, there's only one option, the door with 10. We'll go through there. That splits 2 ways. You'll notice 2 rooms back, that room that had a 9, it's now blocked off by our north door. So if you do a new count, it changes to 5. This will happen a lot throughout the floor as the true big path takes over. Smaller side paths will have their counts reduced. Next, we'll count the west doors, which give a count of 7 and 6. So we go down the 7 path. It dead ends, so then our only option is to continue north to that 6 path. We'll go through there, and then that gives us 9. We'll go through that door. Then 3 and 6, go through 6. Just keep going through that largest path in our area. And now we open into 2 rooms. There's 8 and 5. So the 8 path is actually key blocked right now, which means you can't open that door. So we're forced to continue through and go down that 5 path. You'll notice when we open that south path, it actually blocks off the 8 path and makes it a 4. From here, we just continue through the big doors and we go to the southwest corner where it ends up dead ending. At this point, we need to pick the next spot to go on the map. So looking at the map, there's one area that has a 5, but that's actually a bonus door, so we're not going to go there. And then there's a few areas with 4. We decided to go to the one at base because it has the most map area in front of it, so that's using sort of that map analysis that we did at the start. Looks like there's more space there, so we'll head to that 4 area and open up that path next. We'll continue just pathing through, choosing the biggest path each time, highest number. And then eventually we get to this split at the end here that has 2 doors that are 2 and 2. In this case, the east door is key blocked, so we head north, and that actually opens up our boss. If you count the total number of rooms in the floor, there's 23, which is the most you can have on the critical path. The critical path will always be 19 to 23 rooms. In medium dungeons, it will be 10 to 14 rooms, and in small dungeons, it will be 6 to 8 rooms. Crit indicators are the next really important step of identifying the critical path. They don't necessarily tell you that a path is critical, but they do tell you when a path is bonus. So if you get an indicator that says this path is bonus, then you know it's not a good path to go on and it eliminates some options. The easiest and best indicator to use is skill door level. The game calculates the highest skill level for each skill based on the players in the party, and then sets the critical door range from 9 below the highest level to the maximum level. For example, if there's a maxed player in the party, the critical level range will be 90 to 99 for all doors, and then 111 to 120 for farming and herb lore. Any door outside that range is guaranteed to be bonus, but you can get bonus doors that fall in that range occasionally. The easiest way to check a skill door level is by right-clicking the door and selecting Examine. You can also use the door XP drop to determine if a door was critical. The range is calculated as your level times 5 plus 10. However, XP modifiers make this a less consistent identifier compared to examining the door. Usually an XP drop from about 500 up will be critical, ignoring bonus experience if you're maxed. The second indicator is puzzle skill levels. These follow the same level rules as doors, but you can't examine them to see the level required. However, the XP drops will fall into the same ranges, so puzzle XP drops around 500 plus are often critical. Anything below 460 will be bonus, with the exception of herbs in the sarcophagus room and chopping flowers in vines, which are between 135 and 200 XP for critical. The third indicator is skilling resources in a room. As a general rule, the 2 highest resources you can use based on your level are the only resources able to show up on the critical path. Assuming you're maxed, this will be Gorgonite and Promethium ore for mining, Entgallo and Grave Creeper trees for woodcutting, blue crabs and cave morays for fishing, and Megamestics and Tyrannomestics dinos for hunting. If you're 120 herblore and farming, then salve nettles will be the critical resource. Unless you do hard mode, then it will correctly be runeleaf and spirit bloom. This is a bug that came with the release of 120 herblore and farming. The best way to use resource indicators is to confirm that your path is still critical or see that it's become bonus. So if you get a bonus resource, not one of those 2 top resources, then your path is bonus, so you should go back and find the critical path. If you're a lower level player, sometimes there will be a few more resources that are critical, but still using the top 2 is a good general rule. The final crit indicator is keys. Critical keys can only come from the critical path, so anytime you get a key from a bonus path, that key door can't be critical. Likewise, all the keys that you pick up from the critical path have a chance of being critical, although they can be bonus too. So it's a good idea to remember them. If you're in a critical room and find the exact same key as the door in that room, there's a very good chance it's critical too. What I'm going to do now is use everything I've taught you in this video and go through an actual floor and just talk you through my thought process when I'm finding crit. So starting at base, we have 3 doors. The west door here has a lot more space than the other 2, so I'll probably go that way first. But I just examine that door to see if it's crit or bonus. It's level 40, so I know that it's bonus. That's really helpful, so I feel even better about going west first. Once again, examine that north door. It's level 91, which could be crit. So that's actually a good chance of being crit. I'll keep it in mind. Then we have Prom and Grave Creeper here, which are both crit resources, so we're looking good. Alright, I'm just going to skip this room. In this room, there's no indicators that jump out. I used the map potential to go west. In this room, again, I'm looking at the map, and the south door has more potential. I picked up Crim Tri Key, which has a good chance of being crit. In this room, we got Prom or there, so that's looking good. Continue south, it's our only option. Alright, so now this is getting kind of cool. We have Crim Tri Door there, which we have the key for, and a GD here. So what I'm going to do is go through Crim Tri, and I'll gate this room for later. Alright, in this room, there's no great indicators, it's our only path. And we picked up this key, and we've key blocked at Blue Wedge, and then just an enter north. There's no resources to tell me if it's crit or bonus. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to base, I'm going to open that level 91 door that was there, because 91 is one of those critical levels. Just see if maybe it gives us a key or something. Alright. So now we got, from that door, we got Blue Wedge key. We're going to go back to our gate. And look, here's Blue Wedge door. Continue going through there. Alright, now in this room, examine that. It's level 54, very likely bonus. Alright, we have some more. Yeah, sorry, that's 100% bonus. And then this is level 98, which is very likely critical, so we'll go through that. Also, if you look at our map, it has a lot more map potential than that east door. Alright, once again, gonna examine. That's level 52, and then we have Orange Corner here, that door. So we'll drop our gate here. Orange Corner is probably our crit key, but it's gonna come from somewhere else in the map. Let's take a moment and count the number of rooms we have. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's somewhere between 7 and like 11 more rooms. So we gotta figure out which ones those are. Looking at the map, there's a lot of space right here, and also a little bit up there around the edges. So I'm gonna go back to this room where we have our gate. Alright, so in this room, we have Green Wedge there, gated, and I'm going to go through this Guardian room and see what happens after I finish clearing it. Alright, so we go through that Guardian room. We picked up Gold Tri Key, potentially critical key. And then looking in this room, you'll see Utuck Tree, and that is not one of our 2 crit resource trees, so Gold Tri Key might not be so critical. In this room, definitely not a good one to do, so we'll go to base instead and try that north door. So that's another good looking path. Oh, and look, from that we got Green Wedge, and Gold Tri we said was likely bonus, so we got Green Wedge. We'll go back to that path, because that's another big looking path that was from our crit path. Going through here. Here we have Crim Corner door, which was from before. That was from our crit path, so that's a good looking key. Go through there. That gave us Orange Corner key. Key block here. That's our other door over here. So we'll go back, open Orange Corner. Now in here we got P Corner key, and this ghost, there's no clear indicator, so we're going to skip, continue going through. Yellow Crest, and then P Corner, that's the key we just picked up. That's a great example of getting a key right around when it needs to be crit. Then in here, it gives us Silver Wedge key, so we're going to go back to Silver Wedge. That's also, look here, it's a big path. And that key looks good. So when we go through Silver Wedge, that gives us Crim Pen key, and the door is in the same room, which is a great sign. So we're going to open that, and there is our boss. And if you count the rooms, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 rooms for our crit path. So that's the basic idea of how you do it. It'll take you a lot longer at first, but the more you practice, the easier this will become, and you'll be able to do it just as well as me. Alright, and then also you see looking at the end here, bonus rooms, we have 0% because we did not open any bonus rooms. And that's why you do want to open the bonus rooms, because it will take away a large amount of your experience if you don't do so. And that brings us to the end of the crit guide. If you found it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.